Grandma's Kitchen.
There's a fiddle tune and a wooden spoon while she's stirring and singing. There's friends leaving our family land, and then the phone's usually ringing. No matter who you are or what you've done, everything's forgiven.
Thank God. Thank God.
Thank
God. Grandma's Kitchen.
And ain't it good to be in Grandma's Kitchen?
Grandma's Kitchen.
Hello everybody, Mary Janet here from Tunes and Wooden Spoons. I hope you all can hear me. I'm just checking for any message there that I can kind of see before I do anything else. If you wouldn't mind commenting, that would be wonderful. I hope you had a wonderful week. It's an absolutely beautiful day here. I've never had such amazing weather this summer here in Cape Breton, and in this fall has been beautiful. It was a little windy and crazy before Thanksgiving weekend, but my, this week was just wonderful. So there's always something to be thankful for. So today we're going to be making pumpkin roll. I swear, every dessert I try, I say this is the best thing yet. But anyway, this one is really, really special. And of course, there's always a story about my recipe or where I got it or whatever. So many years ago, when our oldest son Brennan was in school, all through school, one of his best buddies, but I think his best buddy was Sheldon Beaton. And Sheldon and he were great pals. Sheldon spent lots of time here at our house, and so did Brennan up at Sheldon's house. And Sheldon got married, and Brennan was in the wedding party, of course, and they got married right here in Port Hood. And his lovely wife is Becky Kaiser. Becky Kaiser Beaton, I call her, because but she's Becky Kaiser on Facebook. And this particular dessert is one of her favorites that she's made for years. So I scooped that from Becky. She gave me the recipe. And there was a couple of little scary parts in it that I was saying, oh my God, this is going to fall out of the pan or whatever. But it worked out just fine. So thank you to Becky for sharing this recipe, and hello to Sheldon out there in Manitoba. That's where they live. He's an RCMP officer, and we do miss you, Sheldon and Becky and the kids. It's just it's hard to get home, isn't it? But it's nice to have you with me, even virtually, and I know that Becky is watching today. So anyway, you know, what do you have to do? In these COVID times, you just have to make the best of every situation. And here we are, we're baking. So one of the most important things to do, I guess, as we start our recipes is to wash our hands. And of course, we're lucky here in Cape Breton. I'm serious, we haven't had, I don't know how many cases we've had in our particular island of Cape Breton, but very few that you could count perhaps on one hand, if that. I really don't know those dynamics, but we're lucky. We're very blessed, and hopefully it'll stay like that. And people are really good. Like I was in church this morning, everybody has their mask on, and they're all distanced between the pews. It's a wonderful thing. So we just have to follow the rules. Everybody has to follow the rules. So, okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to wash my hands, and I'm going to set the oven to 375. You should have the recipe by now. That was posted around 1:45 the hour. And we're going to start prepping before we start with the ingredients. We're going to prep our pan That's the very first thing. So you have your parchment paper. If you have it, have parchment paper ready for this recipe. Okay, and I better disconnect here for a second while I wash my hands. I'm going to turn that music down just a tad. Now that music that was playing just now is that's Janelle and Cameron's CD, and oh, there's so many beautiful songs on there. And if you're a Cape Brettoner, you love the lyrics to a lot of those songs. Really get you really in the heart. So that first one is one of my favorite songs. So the very first thing we're going to do is prep our pan, and you're going to need a pan 16 by 10. Now, or is it it's a cookie sheet with sides on it. Now, every one of my cookie sheets are larger than 16 by 10. So I went with my stoneware pan, and it's the right size. My old stoneware pan from Pampered Chef. It looks a little worn there, but it's been used plenty, and that's why it's the color it is. So I am going to turn the camera down to my table so that you can follow along in that way. I think that worked kind of nice. People like to see exactly what I'm mixing up and how I'm mixing it up. So I'm gonna just take a few seconds to move you over and turn you down some. I think that's good. So here we have our pan, and I've already cut a piece of parchment paper. Now, as many people have told me, you can buy sheets at the dollar store. I have yet to get that or remember it every time I go. I still have my roll. So basically, I just folded it over the width of the pan and let it extend over the end a little bit. And really, to have it stick a little bit, I'm just going to put a little cooking spray on the edges of my pan. Seam side down so that it'll kind of adhere. Because when you're putting the batter in, it's still it sticks up. So I don't want that to happen. All right. So if you prepared your pan, I'm just going to put it aside. I'm going to start with our eggs. All right. So I have my big blue bowl. A few people have been asking me again about my bowl. It's a Tupperware bowl. It's a really old bowl. It doesn't have the number of cups on the bottom, but I know from a viewer that this one is about 32 cups. 30 to 32 cups. I think it's 12 inches across in diameter. So anyway, if that helps you, if you want to have your own, I know that Tupperware do have it. And there's a link on my website to our local Tupperware consultant, Natasha Rankin. And you know, you can order from any Tupperware consultant, but if they can ship anywhere. So if it's easier for you to just hit our link, certainly do that, or find your local consultant, because I think you can do that from the website. So anyway, I have my bowl, and I have another bowl, deep bowl, that I'm going to put my egg whites in. So it's 3 eggs. And we'll just separate that. And I am going to do a little something today that's a little bit of a time saver. And just put the egg yolk in your larger bowl. We'll do that. Pray that I don't get any egg yolk in there. That was very close, or it will not beat up. Okay, so all you have to do is just, you know, stir up your egg yolks, and into this you're going to add a half a cup of white sugar. Half a cup of white sugar. And you're going to add into that 2/3 cups of pumpkin puree. So 2/3 cup. I bought a big can of pumpkin puree, so I made a pumpkin roll earlier this week, and today I made, this is my second one that I'm making today. But there's a funny story over why I'm making the other one. I'm asking for forgiveness from somewhere. I'll tell you when I'm having tea. I'll do the confession. So anyway, there's still lots left from that can, and it freezes well. And Becky Kaiser said when she freezes it and reuses it, or takes it out when it's time for her to use it, she adds a couple of tablespoons because it kind of can be a little watery, right? So you're going to add that 2/3 cups of pumpkin puree. Now, if you have your own pumpkins and you want to use that, oh my gosh, if any of you are fans of Natalie McMaster, I posted a video for her to her page, and it was the kids in they're farmers, of course, the kids in their pumpkin patch. Holy cow, there had to be 1,000 pumpkins, and the kids were chopping it up crazy. Okay, just whisk that together. All right, so we're just going to set that aside. I'm just going to get it all down here together, and now we're going to whip up the egg whites, and we're going to need half a cup of white sugar and your egg beater. So I'm going to set that down. And as you're whipping up your egg whites, when they get to the foamy stage, that's when you'll add your sugar. All right, sorry folks, going to make some noise here. Okay, that's about ready. Start adding your sugar, a little bit at a time. think that's just fine. I'm actually just going to rinse these off because we're going to need them when we make the cream cheese. So hold on one second. Okay, just set that aside. Okay, now you're going to fold the egg whites into the pumpkin mixture. All right. Just until it's kind of all incorporated. Oh, it smells, that pumpkin smells really so good. I think that's just enough. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to get my dry ingredients ready now. So for the dry ingredients, you're going to need 3/4 cup of flour. So that's a 1/2 cup. And a 1/4 cup. And you're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Nice fresh baking soda. It was on special this week. All those little boxes were on special. Well, I bought 2 of them. Make sure you keep your baking powder nice and fresh. And a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Oh, this is such good cinnamon. This is Watkins. That's also a link on my page for any Watkins products. I get my vanilla and my cinnamon and my hand soap from there. Just love it. Thanks to Josephine McCachran in Mabu, Josephine Carlton McCachran. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I didn't remember to take my salt out. Off the garbage. So just a 1/4 teaspoon. So just mix that up. And basically, people, that is it for the cake part. Honestly, it's such a nice recipe. Look how the soda is fluffing that up already. So it says to fold it in. I just sprinkle it all over. And I'll use the back of the spatula should if there's any pieces of balls of flour that didn't get mixed up. Oh, you can smell that cinnamon. It's beautiful. And a really nice fall recipe. And next week we're going to be making a pumpkin loaf. But next week's recipe actually calls for not pumpkin puree, but a can of pumpkin pie filling. Been a while since I made it, but my friend Ethel used to make it all the time. She was such a good cook. Alrighty. So get your pan. And just pour it in. Okay, just mix that in if there's any on your spatula, same as mine. Now try to get as smooth a top as you can on this, because any little grooves like that, they'll cook exactly like that. It's an interesting recipe. But Becky, if you're out there, thank you so much. This has going to be a McDonald family favorite, I can tell you that. Mitchell absolutely loved it. And his mother-in-law was there visiting. We took some over there. We were over there for supper the other night. And definitely something we will be making again, and it will serves a lot, so it's a great crowd. I had a lot of comments, and I'm sure you all saw them, but people that have been making this who are also followers. And one lady, I think she said they make 10 at, she makes 10 at Christmas time. I was saying, wow, that's amazing. That would be a big crowd. Okay, so when I put this in the oven, it's only going in the oven for 15 to 17 minutes. Now, there's my oven and maybe my pan. Mine takes longer than 17 minutes. It takes 18 minutes. And sometimes you should watch your oven in case you have to turn it halfway through. But the actual recipe calls for, let me see if I can get you up here. The actual recipe that Becky sent me says 13 to 15 minutes. So it depends on your oven. It's a 375 oven, so it's a warm oven. So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to set my timer for 17 minutes, but you really watch it and determine. And the recipe said, touch it in the middle. If it springs back, it is cooked. So you watch that. But so many ovens, they'll cook more at the back of the pan. So, watch it. You might have to, if you're using a different pan, it might take a lot longer than that, because I know with the stoneware, it's a slower heat or something with the pan. I can't explain how it is, but sometimes things take a little bit longer. Like my cinnamon rolls, they take 18 minutes. But other people, when they're using a cookie sheet, the metal, it takes a lot less, and things can tend to burn sometimes if you don't double pan or lots of parchment paper there. So, okay, off to the oven with this, and I'll be setting my timer for 17 minutes. And so I'll be coming back to the table, and we're going to make the cream cheese filling. Okay? Okay, How's everybody doing? Just looking at all these beautiful people. Donna Beaton and Mike Abson and Diana Paquette. Hi from Cornwall, Ontario. Well, hello back to you. And great to have you on board. And so we're going to start now with the cream cheese filling. Who doesn't love cream cheese? And so I'm going to get my ingredients together, and I washed those beaters because you're going to need them. So I'm just going to put my beaters in, and this beater, oh dear, you have one goes on one side and one on the other. It's very finicky. I have to do it that way. So okay, I'm all set. So I'm going to turn the camera down again. Hi, Joanne McDonald. Hi from Newfoundland and Cambridge, UK. Hi, Stuart. Nice to see that you're watching from the UK. Much love to all of the wonderful people over in the UK. One of my favorite places to visit. So here we go. I better stop watching and just turn you down. Okay, so in here I have a brick of cream cheese, which is 250 grams or 1 cup. So basically I'm just gonna, cut it up. It's been at room temperature for a few hours now. And you can feel free to mix this with your electric mixer first and then add the other ingredients. It's all about being easy for me. I like adding everything at the same time. And so in here we're going to have 2 tablespoons of soft butter, which I have that ready here. Butter or Becel or whatever you want to use. All right. And you're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. And I didn't bring the vanilla. It's not far away though. My Watkins vanilla. A teaspoon. A splash. And into that 1.5 cups of icing sugar. And if there's anybody out there that's worried about my tablecloth, don't worry about my tablecloth. It's a great little tablecloth. Washes like anything. It's going to be full of icing sugar, no doubt, before I'm done. Okay, there's 3 half-cup measures going in there. And keep your icing sugar close by. We're going to need it for our pumpkin roll. And Lord knows when I mix this up, I usually, every time I'm beating anything up like this, I put my whole bowl in the sink and then do this, because especially where the icing sugar is dry and whatever, sometimes it'll flip around. But we're going to do it anyway this way because I didn't want to move from the table. Sorry people, little noise coming up. Here we go, guys. A got to put this in a place where I know I'm not going to make a mess. All right, so that wasn't so bad. Just clean off the sides to make sure. It is absolutely delicious, isn't it? So basically what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this in my fridge. That was a hint from Becky. Becky said refrigerate your icing in the fridge. Now I already made some icing for my recipe that is already cooling in the fridge. So this will be, by the time I get to the second pumpkin roll that's in the oven right now, this will be nice and cool and cold. So I'm going to take this over, and then we'll have a little chat. Hi, Stephanie Bone. You're seeing my ceiling. I don't think you want to see my ceiling, so I'll turn it down a little bit. Hi, Jenny Morris. Oh, lots of great people. What brand is my beater? You know what? I don't even know. I'll have a look at this. Well, there now. There's not a name on it. I am not sure what it is. If there's anybody out there with one like it. Isn't that funny that there's no brand name on it? I don't know. I don't know what brand it is. I got it at our local home hardware store, and it was around $59. You know, and the one I had before I really liked, but I couldn't get another one, and it was an Oster, but it had a lot of wear and tear. So there's about 10 minutes or 9 minutes left in the oven, so I'm just going to turn my kettle on, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and just hold on 1 second. Sorry. There. That's a little better. So we had lots of excitement. First of all, I want to tell you what happened last week. Last Friday, it was a good thing that I made my sticky toffee pudding and my cheesecake on the Friday, because Friday night we went to an event that Mitchell and Brennan were singing in, and before we went, Cecil and I prepped 3 pizzas so to have for everybody when they came home. There was a bunch home. And I put the first pizza in and saying, I don't know about this. Something doesn't seem right. So, yes, the oven quit working. Anyway, thank goodness Mitchell is not too far away. So anyway, next day we are having our turkey dinner on Saturday evening. And so Brennan spent a long time investigating the oven and trying to watch everything that is underneath, and he figured out that the igniter had quit working. And so thank heavens. I love to buy local. If I can, I will. But thank heavens for Amazon, because he figured out what the name of the part was and he sent away for it. It came on Friday. Mitchell came over. It took him 15 minutes to put the igniter in the oven, and the oven is now working. So I cooked a meatloaf last night for supper, and it cooked beautifully, so I wasn't afraid. But I had a backup plan. I was going to do the show from Mitchell's today if it didn't get fixed, so I was really glad for that. So that was one thing. And speaking of Mitchell, I have to say, you know, in a big family, there's lots of birthdays. Well, October's a busy month, and there's birthdays and anniversaries and all of that. And there's a couple in November too. But this coming week, last week was little Charlie's, and the week before was grandson Oliver's. So coming up this week, our son Mitchell on Thursday, it's his birthday. So happy birthday wishes going out to Mitchell. But last year on his birthday, he got a very special gift. And little Asher was born on Mitchell's birthday. So we have Mitchell's birthday on Thursday, and we have Asher's first birthday on Thursday. And just a sweet little boy. So we're looking forward to that. And he's almost walking, and he's just at that stage where he's saying, hot. And he says, mama, and dada, and car, and cracker, and bye-bye. And he's a smart little fella. So that's pretty special. And what else? Okay, I have to tell you why I made the extra pumpkin roll today. Number one, to save time in between. But this is what happened to me this week. I decided I'm going to paint my front door and my back door, and I chose black because the doors are now red, but I'm going with black. And so I went on Thursday to our local co-op to buy my groceries. And I said, I'm going to go into the hardware part of our co-op and get them to mix up a couple of quarts of the paint and all of that. So gave that to them, that little job for them to mix up. And then I went around the store and I got all my groceries. And then I was finished, so I just parked my cart and I went over to the hardware side, and they were just finishing up, and they were tinting the primers so that it would be easier. And so the young man took the 2 paint cans over to the first checkout. There are 3 checkouts, so the first checkout. And in there was a couple of quarts of milk that I had in my grocery order. So scanning them all through, and I had the cart. It was all sanitized and whatever. So, you know, in the top part, I put the 2 cans of paint and the 2 jugs of milk. I didn't put the plastic flap up. And I moved the cart, and the paint can, the primer paint can, fell down, opened up, spilled all over the floor, splashed up on the checkout, all up over my pants and my shoes and over other things. They had to close the checkout down. They had to clean it all up. It took a long time. I was in there on my sock feet. Anyway, so fast forward to today, I made the other pumpkin loaf or pumpkin roll, and so guess where it's going tomorrow morning? I'll be taking it to the co-op because, oh my God, the manager, it's great to see. Isn't it great to see an engaged manager, like he's the new manager, and he was in there like a dirty sock, and he was cleaning up the mess, and he had the mop, and he had some cleaners and whatever, and before I left he had it pretty well all done, but I was so embarrassed. And here I am walking out to the parking lot. My shoes are in a paper bag, and I'm walking on sock feet to my car. So few jokes around the co-op when I was there, and like, oh yeah, you can bake, but you can't shop, and it was pretty funny. Anyway, I think that was the first for the co-op. So I hope those staff will enjoy this. If there's anybody from the co-op watching today, I'll be there first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll be dropping off a pumpkin roll just for you. So that, my friends, is why I made two, but it also worked out well because it will save some time. So there's a minute left in the timer. I can hear it. I'm going to go check to make sure that it is okay. I'm going to have my cookie sheet. This is the important part of this whole recipe. It's the timing of everything. So I have my cookie rack ready to go, and when I take it out of the oven, if I feel that it is done, by it springing back, it's going to sit in the pan on the rack for only 5 minutes, and we're going to have to prep our dish towel, because we're going to be putting a kitchen dish towel down and sprinkling it with icing sugar. So more stories after that. Just hold on a second. There's my timer. So it is all cooked. It smells so delicious. So I'm going to put it on the rack for 5 minutes, and I'm setting my timer because that is very important. You don't need to see my messy porch. There. Okay, how's that? Okay, the sun is just shining in the window. I didn't close my drapes. But, okay, so I set the timer for 5 minutes. So right now I am going to prep my dish towel. Just a nice large dish towel. The one I'm using is kind of got a flatter surface. I think a nice cotton one would be ideal, but I don't have them. Most of mine are kind of got a little bit of terry in it. So I'm just going to make a little space here. get myself together. And you're going to need just like a regular butter knife because I want you to you know, go around the edges of the sides of the pan that don't have your parchment paper on it. And I swear this is the scariest part. When this 5 minutes is up, just getting it from the pan onto upside down onto the dish towel is the scariest part because you figure it's going to break, and God knows the other one didn't, and the other one I made earlier in the week didn't, but I'm always a little bit worried. So I'm sure you'll just be like me. Now, this is the dish towel I'm using. Just doesn't really have like a brushed part of it. And I have a long pan. And yes, I'm going to turn the camera down. Tammy's just texting, make sure you want to see what I'm doing. And I will be doing that. But you want a nice long pan or something like that that you're going to put your roll on when you're going to put it in the oven. Okay? Now, because I'm working on my table, I'm going to use this. Now, somebody was asking me where did I get this? And this is like, I don't know if it's silicone, I really don't know, but it's OXO. It's made by OXO, and it's wonderful. So I'm going to put that on my table, and I'm going to turn the camera down very shortly, and I'm just going to put the dish towel over on top of it. Okay? All right. Okay, so I have a sieve that I'm going to use, or you know, you might have a shaker. Like I also have a little shaker that's a Pampered Chef, and I have my icing sugar in here. But I'm going to use that when I'm ready to serve, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I don't know how much icing sugar. I think I used about 1/3 of a cup, but I'm just going to put a bunch in my sieve. And I'm going to just shake it all over my dish towel. Some bits will get a lot more than others. And just kind of have to guess at how big you're going to do this, because this dish towel is going to go right in the fridge with you. The first one I made, I was saying, oh, the dish towel can't. The recipe didn't really say that. Okay, there's our 5-minute warning. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I'm going to take my knife, and I'm just going to slide it along the edges. Gosh, I got to get that timer. Kind of just lift up the edges. And I'm actually going to let the legs down on my pan here. Just a second. Can you see all of that? Okay, this is where the panic sets in. So I I'm actually going to take it out with the parchment paper. Goodness gracious, and I'm going to flip it over. That is the scariest part for me, but it's okay. I did it. Now, when you're removing the parchment paper, do it really, really slowly and carefully, because you don't want it to lift. And if it starts to lift the cake, just start at the other end and go at that. Just a little bit came up on that side, just a little bit there. But once you do that flip, that's the worst part of it. The rest of it is fine. And you know, even if it split a little bit, like when it almost started to do that on me. So what? For the most part, it's intact. And you're going to be rolling it up anyway, so don't worry. Hope you can see everything I'm doing. There. We did it. So guess what? The easy part is now. So basically, I'm just going to see, oh, that's a little piece of parchment paper. So I have kind of an extra big dish towel. So this is what I did with the other one, and hopefully it'll be okay. And I just folded it over, and now I'm going to gently roll it up with the dish towel. It's quite hot. Becky, for heaven's sakes, chime in case I'm doing it wrong. I don't think so. It worked. And I'm going to have my other pan ready. That's it. Now you're going to time that for 45 minutes, and that should give it enough time, 45 minutes to an hour, when you feel what you think is right. I'm going to put it in the fridge just like this. And now, folks, I'm going to take the other one out because it's been in there like maybe over an hour, and the other cream cheese that I had done. So set your timer if you're doing this with me. I'm going to put it in the fridge. Okay, so this is the cream cheese that I made earlier. This cream cheese frosting is all ready. And this is going to be the test. Hopefully it's not stuck together. And this is the other one that I made earlier. Okay, so we're going to unroll it very gently. So far, so good. Awesome. Okay. So now all you're going to do is you're going to put your cream cheese frosting, just drop it by spoonfuls here and there. And when I actually was making this earlier this week, the first one that I made this week, Mitchell was with me because I had to bake it at his house because the oven wasn't working. And I was so thankful that he was there because he was braver than I was when I had to take it from the pan onto there. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work. but it did. And I sent a panic message to Becky Kaiser because I was saying, I'm not going to roll it up in the dish towel because, and by the time she pretty well got right back to me, but that time I had already rolled it up on its own without the dish towel because I really didn't think I had to do that. But I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to take it out and it's going to be all stuck together. But you know what? Thank heavens it wasn't. But it worked. I was thinking you can, use your favorite white cake recipe and do the jam jelly roll thing. I'm sure that will work. I'm not a jelly roll. I don't like jam in cookies or jelly rolls or squares. Not a fan. I just wanted to give a little shout out there. God love Tammy. She's out there in Fort Mac. She's so good to be with me on Sundays, as the other kids are too. But she's the one that's watching everything I'm doing. Make sure that if I need help or people need responses. Thank you, Tammy. I do appreciate you just being on the alert. So people, that is it. Isn't this amazing how it really is pretty simple. That's all you do. And then make sure it goes right to the edges, okay? Try to make sure it goes right to the edges. And then all you do is you roll it up without the dish towel. You roll it up. And just put it. Now, right now you would put it in plastic wrap. I'm going to do that, and I put it on this tray and chill for at least 2 hours. But I was going to show you what I do is when I would take it out of the Saran wrap, a lot of this icing sugar sometimes it'll get absorbed during the cooling process. So if you have a little shaker or use your sieve, shake some on it before you serve it, and it'll be perfect. So I'm going to put that in plastic wrap, but my plastic wrap is attached to underneath my counter. So I will do that, but I will do that over on the counter later. But wrap it tightly in Saran wrap and keep it on here and in the fridge for at least 2 hours. I'm just going to set this over by the counter. All right. So I'm going to pour myself a cup of tea, and there we go. I'm going to pour myself some tea, and I'm going to sit down and we'll have a quick little chat. And I have a piece of my first one that I made earlier this week. Managed to salvage a slice to have with my tea today, because this one is just not ready yet. You want it to be nice and set, and it slices. I don't know how many slices it makes. Oh my gosh, I bet you 15, 20 slices, no doubt. So I'm going to pour my tea, and I'll be right with you. fix my hair. So this is the one from earlier this week. And today is a mug kind of day for me. I don't know, just sometimes I do love a mug. But you know what? I have a really nice mug here. And the kind of mug... Oh, yes, I was going to... Tammy just mentioned, can you freeze it? Yes, you can freeze it. It freezes very well. Becky says it freezes very well, but but if you're going to serve it, take it out about 15 minutes before you want to serve it. Take it out, and I'd probably take it out maybe even longer than that. Just, you know, bring it to room temperature or cut off the junk that you want and whatever. But it's a lovely, lovely dessert. But I was going to say, this is my mug. And on the bottom it says, Right Ugly Mug, WRIGHT. Don't know where they make them, whatever. But it was a gift from Margie's boyfriend, Jeff Kennedy, last Christmas. And he's from over there in Coxheath. And he just bought a new house in Edmonton, and he was moving in this weekend. So here, cheers to you, Jeff. Hope you enjoy and love your new digs. And I know Margie's down there with him this weekend, just helping him get organized and all of that. And she'll be back in Fort McMurray and on her online teaching course. She teaches math and science online in Fort McMurray, and she's loving that. Yeah. So, going to have a little sip of tea. Oh, it's so good. That's a really good cup of tea. And I'm going to have a little piece of this. Definitely a keeper. Definitely a keeper. Janelle, where did you go? He stopped singing, and I have to do that again. Janelle, and this particular one is his album called Glencoe Station, and Glencoe Station is just about 5 kilometers from where we live, but that's where he a lot of his youth was spent in Glencoe Station. A really good CD that you can download from YouTube, and certainly a great entertainer in his day. And sadly, he's no longer with us, but he forged the path for many of our Cape Breton music and musicians. Oh my goodness, somebody said a great way to spend on a snowy day. Darlene, who was that? But anyway, gosh, we're having a beautiful day here, so I'm sorry that you have snow, but hope you love the snow. There's a time and a place for it, but it's not here yet in October, thankfully. But what I wanted to speak to, what we are going to make next week. So it's one more week of a pumpkin recipe, and next week, like I said before, we're going to make a pumpkin loaf. I'll grab the recipe here. The recipe makes 2 loaves, but they freeze so well, you might as well make 2 loaves, right? So you're going to need 4 eggs, and you're going to need a can of pumpkin pie filling. I don't know how many, what's in the can, but you know how the big fat can that you get the pumpkin puree. Well, it's not that size; it's the next size down. Just a pumpkin pie filling. It only comes in one size around here, anyway. And in Calgary, have some flurries. Hi, Barbara Pritchard. I have to look at these. Love loaves. Lo Poirier. She's a great watcher. Yeah. Okay, so back to the pumpkin loaf. You're going to need some oil and pumpkin pie filling and cinnamon, allspice. Also ask for mace. Mace in recipes, I can take it or leave it. But if I have it, I'll put it in. And I do have it. I'll be probably using my mace. And this recipe also calls for a cup of raisins, but I don't put Ethel. This recipe was the recipe my friend Ethel used to make, and so I am not going to put raisins in, but it does ask for walnuts. If you want to put walnuts in it, that's an option. But it's fine on its own without walnuts or without raisins. So you choose what you want. I'll put the recipe out there. And makes 2 loaves. I think the pan size is about 9 by 5. Whatever you have, it'll be fine. It'll just be, if you have a larger pan, it'll just be a little wider and shorter pan. Somebody was asking me this. Now, maybe you have, some viewers out there have some opinions on this. A lady was making zucchini loaves, and she was finding that it wasn't raising that well and was a bit dense. And I did write her back. And number one, my first go-to is make sure that whatever leavening agent that you're using, whether it be baking soda or baking powder, that it is fresh, right? That could be the problem. That could be the problem. So make sure that it's nice and fresh. The other thing that happens sometimes, and I notice this in making muffins at times or in loaves, make sure that your batter in your loaf pan has space to crawl up the sides. If you fill it, just too full, when it gets to the top of the pan, it's going to kind of stay there. It might have a little heap on it, but just watch for that. It needs that. I know that I've made muffins before where I said, I just want to make a dozen good sized ones, and it's like the muffin nose, and the top will be a little hump on it in the middle, but once you take it out, it'll kind of flatten out. It's because you filled the muffin tins too full. And you want to have that space. But if I'm wrong or anything, you guys are so wonderful with your opinions, and help in baking. So please do check that out and offer your opinion on that. And you may know the reason why, because that's just my own feel. Should have Googled it. But other than that, I guess that's basically it for this week, folks. I'm going to finish my pumpkin roll and my tea, and I'm actually then going to go and visit my lovely sister-in-law. She used to live in Vancouver, and she moved home, and now she's 85. I believe she's 85 or 86. And I'm going to go for a visit, and I'm going to bring her some pumpkin loaf. But I guess the other thing I just wanted to make mention of, if you haven't watched it, I don't know how much longer it will be on, but I wonder if any of you were tuning in every evening around 7 o'clock to the Celtic Colors Festival. You can watch it, but you can also donate to the cause. But you can watch it if you want. But they also have, donate now if you like. But I'm telling you, hi Evelyn Cook, and just you can still have time to watch a few shows. But they're fantastic if you love Celtic music, and there's guests from all over the world on there, along with our local musicians, and it's a great entertainment in this at this time. And you know what? I'm here talking here, and I don't have my microphone on. sorry. I hope you can all hear me okay. But awesome. Oh, I do have it. Okay. So I hope that, there's a lot of you out there that I know that I hear from, and some of you are alone, and you're making do, and trying to stay safe and stay healthy, and good for you. And sometimes that can get kind of down because we don't know when this is going to be over, and what people scared, seniors worried that they might catch it, whatever. But just know that you matter, and you matter to me, and just keep the faith and be strong, and know that this soon will pass, I believe. And so just love is the answer. So do love one another. Just life is too short to not reach out and care and share and all of that. So do that, and just know that I just love you to bits, and thank you for making my life just such a joy in these last number of months. And I will see you next Sunday at 2 o'clock. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.